For fun, let's compare another really amazing ship from Royal Caribbean, like the Oasis or the Allure of the Seas, for around the same dates. Let's take the Allure of the Seas, cruise dates, April of 2024.
It is Sunday, February 4th, 2024, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're talking about Royal Caribbean's newest, biggest, craziest, and most expensive cruise ship, the Icon of the Seas. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back here to my living room on this very cloudy, gray, dreary day. Do me a favor. If you follow the very unofficial travel guides on Facebook, please go there right now and post some picture of you on the beach or in the sun or something. This weather is getting me down. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I know there are people who have been on a lot more cruises than I have been on, but I have been on a lot of cruises. And many of the ships I have cruised on were, at one time, the largest cruise ships in the world, including the very first ship I was on, the Monarch of the Seas. I think people forget that the Monarch of the Seas, which is a pretty small ship by today's standards, that class of ships, they were the largest ships in the world, the largest passenger ships in the world when they were built. But I've also cruised with the Independence of the Seas, the Freedom of the Seas, both the largest cruise ships when they were built, a few Oasis class ships, including the Wonder of the Seas. I have, however, not yet cruised with the Icon of the Seas, and after watching this video today, you're gonna know that it's probably gonna be a while until I cruise with this ship. If you're not caught up, Royal Caribbean has just launched this new ship called the Icon of the Seas. It is the current largest passenger cruise ship, and it seems like everybody on YouTube is making videos about it right now, almost everybody. So many of my fellow creators are on the ship right now, or were on it last week, sharing their experiences, and you know, let's be honest, if you like that kind of ship, then the Icon of the Seas is really amazing. It has a huge water park and all these cool features inside and outside, the updated performance spaces for the water show and the ice skating show. There's really a lot of things that are very interesting about this ship, and I really would like to cruise with the Icon of the Seas. But there's one major thing that's holding me back, and that is the price. Anytime a new ship is launched, the beginning of the ship's life is always the time where the cruise lines charge the most for that ship. You know, that's kind of how business works. The demand dictates the price, basically. I get it. And I have no problem paying more to be part of some kind of exclusive group of people, to be the first people to do something. I bought opening night tickets to see Michael Jackson's This Is It in London, and then we know how that all went. What I'm saying is I'm not opposed to spending more for something special, but I've been seeing people posting the prices for their cruise on the Icon of the Seas, and I just think,
wait, how much did you pay?
So I thought I'd take you back to my computer in the office and that we would try to book an Icon of the Seas cruise just to find out, really, as of today, how much does this ship cost? So we're gonna go back there in just a second, but before we do that, let me tell you about my book, Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship. What a coincidence. It has cruise ship in the title. It tells a little bit about my life before I started making YouTube videos full time, how I sort of made the transition, and there are 10 true stories of sort of weird things that have happened to me while traveling around the world, like an embarrassing incident with some very expensive lotion in an airport duty-free shop. If you wanna give me a little bit of extra support and get something fun to read in exchange, check out Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship. It's available on Amazon now. And now, let's go book a cruise.
Well, here we go. I am at my desk now, and I have not signed into my Crown and Anchor account or anything like that. This is just me going to royalcaribbean.com, just like any other person, and clicking on Find a Cruise. When that loads, you can see there is a button here where you can choose what ships you're interested in. I'm going to choose Icon of the Seas only, then go here to lowest to highest. So the lowest price it says here is an average of $1,775 per person for a 7 night cruise, which is, I would say, for a Royal Caribbean cruise, maybe a little bit more expensive than average. But what are the dates here? Oh, it says here starting the cruise is for January 10th, 2026. All right. Well, that proves another theory I had, which was that if you wait a little bit, that the price is going to sink. Unlike things like theme parks, where the more popular it gets or the longer it's open, the more expensive it gets. That's sort of one nice thing about cruise ships in comparison to theme parks, is that they get less expensive the older they are. So let's put in some dates here to see if we wanted to cruise with the Icon this year. Going back to find a cruise, going to put in some dates. If you want to go for my birthday in April. Now I will once again choose Icon of the Seas. Whoa. All right. This is more what I was expecting. Let's click on this here. The lowest price for a cruise in April on the Icon of the Seas that it's offering me here would be leaving on April 13th through April 20th, which is good. That would be over my birthday. Interior cabins are apparently sold out. That's weird. But there is a special on balconies for $3,449. Is that the per person price, or is that for the whole cabin? That is the least expensive cabin they're offering. Ocean View costs more, but that, oh my gosh, are they serious? $3,449 per person for a balcony cabin per person. Let's see though. I'm sure that's not the final price. If I click through here, I'm sure something else is gonna pop up. So balcony, 3,449. Interior sold out. Ocean View costs more, which makes no sense to me. Royal Suite class, of course, that's always expensive. I've said this many times, just to throw this in here really quickly. When you book a suite, it's not just about getting more space. You also get a lot of perks. But let's go back here to a balcony. By the way, if you didn't know this, this is something that I just realized today. The Icon of the Seas also has these infinite verandas or infinite balconies, like a lot of the new uh, celebrity ships. So you don't really have a balcony that you can go out on. You just open up the wall basically, and then your whole room becomes a balcony, which also means that when you open up the window, your whole room gets warm or cold, depending on what it's like outside. You don't really have an outdoor space. It's just basically like opening a window. For a spacious, infinite Central Park view balcony, which is not a balcony looking to the ocean, it's a balcony looking to the inside of the ship, 3,449. Gonna click on that. It's just, I mean, what the actual F, right? I'm just gonna take whatever cabin it recommends to me here. Okay, this looks like just about to book the cruise. And it says here that the total price for a cabin on the Icon of the Seas in April in an inside facing balcony, which is the least expensive cabin that I could book here, would be 7,258 US dollars. That's crazy. Who's paying that? I know I'm sure there's people that are going to be watching this and say, yes, but if you use this credit card and you book on a Thursday where there's a full moon before 12, you will be able to get a cheaper price. But just for the purpose of this study, I'm thinking that imagine you're just like an inexperienced cruiser who wants to go on this ship. You've never booked with Royal Caribbean before. So you just go to the website, type it in. This is what comes up. This is what Royal Caribbean is sort of starting at for just anybody who wants to book a cruise over their website. Icon of the Seas in April, $7,258. For fun, let's compare another really amazing ship from Royal Caribbean, like the Oasis or the Allure of the Seas, for around the same dates. Let's take the Allure of the Seas, cruise dates, April of 2024. Okay, maybe this is a bad example because Allure is not cruising for a week. Okay, sorry about that. Let's take the Anthem of the Seas. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, it's so much less. The Anthem is also an amazing ship. It costs, it looks like it costs here less than half of what the Icon costs. And this is for an ocean view balcony cabin, not an interior view balcony cabin. It's still kind of expensive, but it's just so much less and also a really amazing ship. So I just wanted to show you for comparison what a cruise on one of Royal Caribbean's newer cool ships kind of usually cost compared to what the Icon costs right now.
I said it in the beginning of this video, I have no problem paying a little extra for some special kind of experience, but for $7,000, first of all, how many other cruises could you do? You could do like at least 3 other cruises if you planned it carefully, and definitely 2 other cruises, or you could cruise for a week in a suite in like the MSC Yacht Club. And that's how I kind of think about it. Yes, the Icon of the Seas is a fantastic ship when it comes to that kind of ship. Yes, I would have a great time cruising on it and I would love to show you my take on it, but I pay for all my own trips. The Very Unofficial Travel Guides is funded by me and also many of you by getting stitches on a cruise ship, and the incredibly generous people who are members over at patreon.com/veryunofficial who actually got to watch this video earlier than everybody else. And so for me, $7,000, or, I should have looked to see what it would cost to cruise solo. That would have been really interesting. You know what? I'm going to do that when I'm done here, and this is what it costs.
Oh my gosh, people. I am editing this together right now, and I went back to the Royal Caribbean website to look what it would cost to cruise on that same cruise on the Icon as a solo traveler. And look at this. When I pick here one adult, it doesn't offer me any cabins. It says, oh, we're sold out. The only cabin you can cruise in is a suite, and look at how much that costs. I just hate that cruise lines are allowed. I really feel like it's discrimination. They're allowed to discriminate against people who want to travel or can only travel alone. How do you feel about this?
And so even if I was cruising with somebody, just with the budget I have to keep the Very Unofficial Travel Guides going, I don't see myself getting on the Icon of the Seas anytime soon. Unfortunately, if there's some like super generous person out there who wants to donate all the money I would need to do it this year, let me know. If you have cruised on the Icon or have an Icon cruise coming up and you are comfortable talking about it, please let me know, what did you pay for it? And if you got a much cheaper price, how did you do that? I love to read what you have to say in the comments. And speaking of comments, now comes the time on Sunday Sofa Time where I comment on your comments live on air. In last week's Sunday Sofa Time, I talked about why there are still ashtrays on airplanes and talked about the history of smoking on airlines and how long it took from when everybody could smoke to when nobody could smoke. These comments are on that video. 2 of them are kind of nice comments, and one of them might be a little bit controversial, so make sure you stick around for that one. First comment is from Ronald Archuleta. Ronald writes, I don't want smoking back, nor non-travelers being allowed at the gates. I always hated when an entire group of 20 people would be there to greet someone at the gate. It made the gate area so crowded, and they're crowded enough already. And when I was making that video and thinking about that, I remember like going with my parents and my grandparents to the airport and watching my grandparents board the plane and come back, or being at the gate when my dad would come back from a business trip. I remember that being really special. But Ronald has a good point. Nowadays, airports are just so crowded anyways. We don't need any extra people there. I agree. That doesn't need to come back either, actually. Good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Next comment is from Jackie Hydorn. Jackie writes, After they banned smoking in planes after the hoopla, a friend who works in the airline industry told me they saved more money by not having to clean up all that tar and so on to not need smoker money. So they were worried that if they banned smoking, then they would lose a lot of business because so many people smoked and they wanted to smoke on planes. But apparently it all worked out because they had to spend so much extra money to keep the planes clean because of all the smoke. Jackie also writes, as someone who is allergic to tobacco smoke, I appreciate clean planes. I literally never flew before the ban because of the smoking. And this is something interesting. Jackie says, as somebody who is allergic to tobacco smoke, and here's a question I have. Isn't everybody allergic to tobacco smoke? Hasn't it been proven that tobacco smoke gives you cancer? So I kind of think everybody's allergic to tobacco smoke if you look at it that way, right? And the final comment is one where, I don't usually go into discussions like this, but for some reason, I'm kind of in the mood today. This comment is from Angel's Milky Way. They write, I enjoy your content normally. I don't smoke at all, but this video sounded like you are a part of the snowflake generation. And because I wanted to be really clear what Angel's Milky Way meant, I asked, what does snowflake generation mean? I live in Germany, so I miss some of this terminology. They answered, I think what they mean here is whiny and thin-skinned, which you normally are not at all. Just this video, though. I replied, interesting, because I don't want to be in an enclosed space with people smoking for 10 hours, or what was it? That was 4 days ago, and they haven't written back again. The snowflake generation. This is a word that has shown up in the last, I want to say, 5 or 6 years, and I think it's used mostly in North America. I think there's a reason and a person who's responsible for this sort of starting to roll, and it really bothers me. I feel like as somebody who travels a lot more than other people, and I travel alone a lot, which gives me a lot of time to just observe people around me because I'm not talking to somebody, I'm sitting there by myself, sort of watching what's happening around me. And I have really noticed, especially in the past 5 or 6 years, a trend of people, I'm just gonna say, acting in ways that, at least the way I was brought up and the way that I learned how society works, as I would classify them as not really socially acceptable. And I feel like the people who throw around this word snowflake have somehow adapted the ideology that they should be able to do whatever they want, wherever they want, and say whatever they want about whoever they want at any time, regardless of if it's rude, if it's not good manners, if it's appropriate, or if it affects the people around them in any way negatively. And when somebody calls them out on that, then instead of going internally and thinking, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should just keep that to myself. Maybe I shouldn't be rude to this person or this group of individuals. Maybe I shouldn't make somebody smell my cigarette smoke for 10 hours. Instead of doing that, they just automatically say, well, if what I want to do bugs this other person, then they're weak. They're a snowflake. And I feel like this trend of people acting that way has led to making traveling and being around other people so much less enjoyable. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and if you have a problem with it, it's because you're weak. And personally, I miss the days where when you were out and about, you were polite to people. The times where if you did something and somebody said, kind of out of line there, that people might apologize for that and reflect internally if maybe what they said or did was out of line. I feel like those times were the better times, not now, with people saying things like, if you don't want people to smoke on a plane, then you're a snowflake. Oh. Listen to this. Do you hear that? I don't want to become a grumpy old man, but interesting just thinking about in the middle of this discussion, talking about how I feel like the world would be better if everybody started to pay a little bit more attention to the people around them and how their actions and words affect the people around them. And then there are a lot of people who live in my building and in this area that have dogs, and these dogs are barky dogs. And it's getting on my nerves. I guess I'm a snowflake. All right, everybody. I think I chewed on that stale piece of gum long enough. The comments are open. Write whatever you want to write. Coming soon in the vlogs, you will see more of my sister and I on the Independence of the Seas, including our amazing day on Labadee. And I hope to see you back here soon. Bye-bye.